You see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles. And you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters of the Resistance. Wednesday, April 3rd. I'm Dean Obeidallah, hoping desperately to be your MBFF. On Twitter there, all the time at Dean Obeidallah. And we have a lot to talk about. Although today I want to share, we'll be going back the next 2 days, was at Reverend Al Sharpton's National Action Network Conference right here in New York City. It is remarkable. 12 of the leading Democratic candidates for president are all there speaking. Today was a bunch. Beto O'Rourke, Julian Castro, and others. So we recorded a lot. I got to sit down and interview former Attorney General Eric Holder. We'll play that. Mark Morial, the president of the National Urban League. We chatted with him and Professor Christina Greer from Fordham and others. But we have a lot of the speeches. Stacey Abrams was there. Standing ovation. You want to talk about energy. I mean, Beto got a huge response. Stacey Abrams off the charts. I'm just telling you, organic, maybe, I can't estimate. I'm not great, but I can tell you the ballroom was packed with people. A couple thousand people, probably fair to say. And they were chanting Stacey 2020. And they want her. And she had the most energy, most energetic response if anyone was there. So we'll play some of that today, some tomorrow. We're going to go back and interview more. And Friday, we're going to be there a lot. It's remarkable. Friday, there's 5 U.S. senators who are running for president back to back to back, speaking, from kicking off with Senator Kamala Harris, then Bernie Sanders, Amy Klobuchar, Liz Warren, Cory Booker, and the list goes on. And we're going to play a lot of their speeches. We're going to try to grab a minute or two with them. I did a couple of press gaggles today like you see on TV. And I'll tell you this, you get elbowed a lot. These are fierce, because I'm Mr. Nice Guy. I'm like trying to yell questions at Tom Perez and Beto O'Rourke. They are literally elbowing me. These are vicious people, the media. Maybe Trump's right. No, I'm kidding. But speaking of Trump, here is Colbert last night. And this is completely true, folks. If you have not heard Donald Trump's pronunciation of the word origins, you're going to love this. This is all real. It's funny to us because Trump's a punchline. Here's clip number 1.
Then he said it was time to investigate the investigators. See if you can notice his small slip of the brain.
I hope they now go and take a look at the oranges of the investigation, the beginnings of that investigation. The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges.
Yes, sir. Must take a look at the oranges of the investigation. I say it is high Clementine we do so. The American people. The American people will not stangerine for it any longer. We can vitamin C right through the lies. We Tropa can handle the juice.
He said oranges instead of origins. I don't even know where you get that mispronunciation. There's something going on in his brain, because that's not like Bush and nuclear or something, when he was mispronouncing nuclear. I can't remember how he said it. But I could get that because it's the letters and maybe you miss a little oranges for origins. Something is amiss in the guy's brain, and we all know that. But, by the way, there was some little bit breaking news, CNN exclusive, that key Democratic in the House have sent letters to the IRS demanding Trump's tax returns from 2013 to 2018. So it's kind of interesting, and I don't know all the details, but the committee that has the power to do that is House Ways and Means Committee. When we were in D.C. last month, we talked to Congressman Tom Suozzi, who's on that committee, who said at the time Chairman Neal, who's the chairman of the committee, was publicly talking about wanting to do that. They were debating, is it worthwhile? Now they're doing it. So it's confirmed by MS as well just now. So we'll see. I mean, there's going to be a fight over the tax returns. I don't think the tax returns are a smoking gun either. I don't think all of a sudden we see like, oh my God, look, Vladimir Putin was giving him money and it's right on his tax returns. Unlikely. And, and it's funny, like in the time of Trump, there's been this avalanche of corruption that we've seen. But beyond that, we've had a lot of negative things that have impacted everybody personally to different levels. A lot of us, it's been very personal. with Trump's demonization of African Americans, Latinos, of Muslims, from S-hole countries to defending white supremacists, retweeting them, and the list goes on. But sometimes we overlook these great moments of promise that happen. And one happened last night. And I want, if we can, and I am guilty of it too, focusing often on the negatives of what Trump does. But the result of Donald Trump has been made people who would never run for office put their name out there and get involved. And not also just on the ballot, but surrounding them, making phone calls, knocking on doors, spending weekends walking in the rain and the snow just to change things so they know the stakes, they know what Trump's about. And in 2018 midterm elections, we saw the election of the first African-American women ever to Congress from the states of Connecticut and Massachusetts. We saw the first 2 Muslim-American women ever elected to Congress in Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. We saw a record number of women elected. And then last night, something remarkable happened in Chicago. Last night, voters made history. They elected Lori Lightfoot, a former federal prosecutor, as mayor. And why this is remarkable, she's the first black female and the first openly gay mayor in the history of Chicago. And it's a trouncing victory, but to get there, it took a lot. And as we go through this, I want you to think about the debate we have within our party. And we discussed it a great deal yesterday with Julian Zelizer, the idea of Democrats polling saying we want someone who can beat Trump. And we all want that. That's our number one priority. And I think there's a sense of the way to beat Trump is with the safe choice. And I think what we saw in Chicago indicates something that I actually feel really strongly. Electable means the one who inspires the most people on our side to not just vote for them, but to come out and work for them, that you want to work for them. That it doesn't matter it's raining or it's cold. You're going to go out there and knock on doors. You're going to make phone calls. You're going to give them money. And that's what we saw with Lori Lightfoot. She never held elected office before, but she was very involved. She had been a former federal prosecutor. She served on some appointed boards in the city. She'd gotten known in that way, but she was not a household name by any stretch. And she beat an establishment Democrat, Tony Preckwinkle, who was a former alderman, who was president of the Cook County Board. And it was 2 women against each other. So it was a remarkable thing. You had 2 women vying, both black, and Lori Lightfoot won. Now, here's a little bit of Lori Lightfoot's speech last night in Chicago. Here's clip number 2.
Today, you did more than make history. You created a movement for change. You know, when we started this journey 11 months ago, nobody gave us much of a chance. We were up against powerful interest, a powerful machine, and a powerful mayor. But I remembered something Martin Luther King said when I was very young. Faith, he said, is taking the first step when you can't see the staircase. Well, we couldn't see the whole staircase when we started this journey, but we had faith, an abiding faith in this city, its people, and in its future. So we took that first step. And as Father Mike says, we let our faith overcome our fears. And look at where we are today. Just look at us.
So there's Lori Lightfoot. And, I was looking at the comments in the press from people who worked on the campaign, who volunteered on election night, saying things. One said, look, nothing personal, but it's not the good old boys club anymore, said Kimberly Smith, who's 40 years old. I feel empowered. Stephanie Sandberg, executive director of LPAC, an organization that works to build the political power of the LGBTQ community, said, quote, now young queer women and women of color can see themselves reflected in a position of major political leadership. So Lightfoot's now the Chicago's 56th mayor, and it's a pivotal time in Chicago for those who follow it. She's following Rahm Emanuel. Money has gone down to build the downtown area, but not to the other parts of the city. And there was this big divide on that very issue. And people are saying in Chicago that the election is a referendum on Chicago's political culture, the idea of the corruption that's been there rampant for years and years and decades, and electing someone different, someone that excites them. And I want to play a little bit more of Lori Lightfoot on what her plan is and her mandate as mayor. Then I want to pivot to how I think Lori Lightfoot's victory there is a roadmap for us It is a lesson for us on when whoever you're going to choose for 2020, that I think this plays into it. So let's hear clip number 3, please.
And with this mandate for change, now we're going to take the next steps together. Together, we can and will finally put the interest of our people, all of our people, ahead of the interest of a powerful few. Together, we can and will make Chicago a place where your zip code doesn't determine your destiny. We can and we will make our streets, all of our streets, safe again. We can and we will give every single one of our children, all of our children, access to the high-quality education they deserve. We can and we will give our neighborhoods, all of our neighborhoods, the same time and attention that we give the downtown.
So there is Lori Lightfoot, and you hear her speech, you can tell that she's not a candidate who ran on let's just get along, let's just go along, let's be slightly moving the needle on the issues. No, she wants to be transformative. And sure, it's a challenge. It's a big city, third biggest city in America, Chicago. It's going to be a challenge. But that was her vision. And I think there's an instructive roadmap for us here. And this is not a slap on any or knock on any candidate out there. I want whoever you want, that's it. But I think we all agree we want someone to beat Trump. And I'm just saying, don't close off your mind to some of the other candidates who might not be polling as well now, but might inspire you. Because that might be the winner. In the case of Lori Lightfoot, when she started the campaign, there were 13 other candidates in the race. She was not even on the radar. There were like names like Daley in the race and like dynasty names in the race. But she ran, she pounded the pavement, she talked about things as a progressive, she was not afraid to shake up the system. She's an outsider. Again, not an elected official, but she served as a lawyer, as a major law firm, as a partner, federal prosecutor, and was head of the Chicago Police Board and was tasked with, she wrote an amazing, scathing report on relations between Chicago police and the black residents. So as we debate 2020, I agree. We all agree. We want someone to beat Trump. And I'm just saying the safe bet might not be the best answer. I just want you to think about that. This is not a knock on anyone, especially not a knock on Joe Biden, although I'm going to talk about Biden now in a second because he put out a statement a short time ago. And that's why it made me think of this is for some people who have called now, I must say there are some who are truly inspired by Joe Biden. I completely respect that. And if he's a nominee, I will fight for him. I'm not going to support anyone in the primary. I want everyone to feel comfortable on this show, from the candidates to supporters. But, Joe Biden had the issue building of women coming forward, there were a few more last night, of inappropriate circumstance. Not sexual assault, not sexual touching, nothing like that. And I believe every woman who came forward, and Joe Biden doesn't deny any of it. And I'll play, about 2 hours ago, he put out a brand new audio and a video on Twitter, but I'll play some of his audio so you can hear exactly what he said just a short time ago in response to the new allegations. And I even hate the word allegations. They're not allegations. They're statements of truth. These women said he rubbed their nose, or he rubbed their back, or gave them a kiss on the back of their head, or rubbed his hand on their back. There's not an allegation he groped anyone or caressed them in a way that was sexual in any nature whatsoever. And Joe Biden, for years and years, for decades, you've seen pictures that he's an affectionate guy. This is what he does. The fact that so few people have come forward to consider it inappropriate says really a lot. But times are changing, and Joe Biden knows that. And I want to play his clip here. It's about 2.5 minutes. I won't play the whole thing. But to be fair to Joe Biden, I want to play like the core of it so you can hear from Joe Biden's own words. If you haven't seen the video, it came out around 4 o'clock, 3:30 Eastern time. And he's just him direct to camera. He's sitting on his couch wearing a sports coat, no tie, kind of casual. So it's a low energy thing. He's not like giving a speech here. If you're wondering why it's kind of low energy, it's sort of an intimate thing. And he explains what happened. And I just want you to keep in mind, this is the third response by Joe Biden to these reports in about 4 or 5 days. And I'm not quite sure it's making it better. And I think that has to go in your calculation because more serious things are going to come up. I'm not saying it's making it worse. I don't know if it's making it better or not. So let's hear a little Joe Biden. This is just from a few hours ago. He just put this out. Here's clip number 4, please.
I always tried to be, in my career, I've always tried to make a human connection. That's my responsibility, I think. I shake hands, I hug people, I grab men and women by the shoulders and say, you can do this. And whether they're women, men, young, old, it's the way I've always been. It's the way I've tried to show I care about them and I'm listening. And over the years, knowing what I've been through, the things that I've faced, I've found that scores, if not hundreds of people have come up to me and reached out for solace and comfort, something, anything that may help them get through the tragedy they're going through. And so it's just who I am. And I've never thought of politics as cold and antiseptic. I've always thought it about connecting with people. As I said, shaking hands, hands on the shoulder, a hug, encouragement. And now it's all about taking selfies together. Social norms have begun to change. They've shifted. And the boundaries of protecting personal space have been reset. And I get it. I hear what they're saying. I understand it. And I'll be much more mindful. That's my responsibility, and I'll meet it. But I'll always believe governing, quite frankly, life for that matter, is about connecting with people. That won't change, but I will be more mindful and respectful of people's personal space.
So that was Joe Biden saying, I get it, I will take responsibility. The response on Twitter by many people was, you left out the words, I'm sorry. So whenever you do any kind of response, there's going to be some commentary. But the response I saw from most people was, you're leaving out, I'm sorry. And for some, that might be important. It might not be. I don't know. My only point here is, if the only reason you're supporting any candidate is not because you're moved by them or inspired by whoever he or she might be, but you think they're the most electable, and that's why you're going to support them. I think what Lori Lightfoot did in Chicago, remarkable victory, and overcoming 13 other candidates. She was relatively unknown, but she was the one that got the inspiration. The people came out for her, and she won the ultimate thing. And maybe that's the ultimate test. Is electability the one who's just polling best right now, a year and a half from Election Day? Or is electability the one who inspires you the most? Is electability the one that makes you want to get out there and help them and work for them? Because we've nominated the electable candidates before. And that was one of the big reasons we nominated them in the past. And a lot of them have lost. That's all I'm saying on it. So do you think Lori Lightfoot's victory is instructive as a roadmap to us? What do you think of Joe Biden's, this is a brand new response. I'm playing it for you. Imagine if you're working, you might not have even heard of it. It just came out and cable news is covering it a little bit. But what's your reaction to Joe Biden's response and the idea of, if the only reason you're supporting anyone is that you think they can win, but you're not excited by them, you're not animated by them, is Trump enough of a threat where that's going to make you do the work you need to do to win? Or would you rather have someone you so believe in passionately? That it's not work, it's out of love that you're out there knocking on doors, telling people, driving people to the polls, donating money, organizing cottage parties for them and watching parties during debate, whatever it might be. Because I think passion is what makes people electable, not poll numbers. Because that's what we've seen in recent times. So let's take a break, come back. You're my guest right to the top of the hour, 866-997-4748. Love to hear from you right here on the Dean Obeidallah Show. Be right back. Progressive values are the best of American values, and we need to keep fighting for them to save our country.
Don't go anywhere. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.